Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make some Keith Haring style people. So you can see that you could make a whole bunch of them and put them all together. If you make four, you can make a nice four-figured design. Um, these are the three that I'm going to show you how to make today. I taped them together to make one big work of art. But of course you can always just make one, and this functions as a piece of artwork all by itself, so it really just depends on what you're going for today. I'm going to show you how to draw these kind of people, cut them out, glue them on, and how to do the motion lines, the ground, and some background design. So three options for how you can finish your figure. They're pretty cool. They're in the style of the artist Keith Haring, and I hope you like it. Let's get started.
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is gather your supplies. So I have a pencil, Sharpies. I have a thin and a thick Sharpie. I don't know if I'll use them both or not. An eraser, since my pencil eraser is almost gone. And glue. You can use a glue stick. They're probably easier. If you're doing this at school with elementary school students, a lot of the time you don't have glue sticks. You probably use liquid glue instead, which will totally also work just fine. And then I have some paper. This paper is 9 inches by 12 inches, so for the art room it's a half sheet. And I just grabbed a variety of colors, so you really only need 2, maybe 3 colors for each picture you make. So I just grabbed a variety to use to make a couple different ones. So pick maybe a couple colors that look good together, that stand out against each other. So I'm going to go ahead and start with these. So the first thing you need to do is you need to decide which color is going to be your background and which color is going to be used for your figure. So I think that I'm going to make my background orange, which means my figure is going to be on this blue paper. So I'm going to set the orange aside. Now what you need to do is you're going to start by drawing your figure, and you want to draw your figure as a stick person, a stick figure first, alright? So I'm going to go ahead and draw a person running. I'm just going to start by drawing them as a stick figure. Alright, so there we go. You can see that I've got a stick figure version of a person running, and as you watch, you notice that I erased the limbs a couple times. I changed their directions a little bit. It's very important that you have your legs broken down into 2 parts. The part from your hip down to your knee, which should be a straight line, the part from your knee to your ankle, which should be a straight line. I also put a little tiny straight line foot on the end of each leg. That's not necessary, but you can do that if you want. Same with your arms. Your arms should not be made of one line like a traditional stick figure. Your arms should be made of 2 lines. The line from your shoulder to your elbow, and the line from the elbow to the hand or to the wrist. Right? So a stick figure person should have 10 parts. The straight line for the torso, each arm, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, so that's 4, 5. Head is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different parts of the body, even not counting the feet. If you count the feet, that's 12. So once you have your stick figure, you're ready to go ahead and do an outline. So what I do is I start the head and I follow the stick figure that I made with my pencil. So I just follow around, drawing kind of close to it, not very close, definitely not touching it. So each time I get to a corner, I just turn and have my pencil follow that line around, staying about the same distance from my stick figure line all the way around. Alright, so once you get back to the head, you're now ready to erase the stick figure that's on the inside. So I just take my eraser and I follow that stick figure line. And I try as hard as I can not to erase my outline. If you drew your outline so close to the stick figure line that you keep on accidentally erasing it, that means you drew it too close to that stick figure line. You want there to be some space inside of this person to make it easier to cut this person out. That's very important because we are cutting this out. So if you make your figure too skinny, it's going to be really hard to cut out. I'm going to go ahead and erase that spot right there. Alright, so now I have a good Keith Haring style outline of a person running or a person in some kind of movement or action. So now I'm ready to cut this guy out. So you're just going to grab your scissors and go ahead and cut on the line. It's very important that you stay right on your line. Now, once you've cut it out, you can't fix anything. So if you look at it and say, wow, that body's really skinny, or man, that arm's kind of fat, you might want to fix those things before you go to cut your person out. Once your person's cut out, that's it. There's nothing you can do. You can't change it. But I think mine looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Alright, so there's my person cut out. Now, here's my piece of paper that I cut him from. I'm not going to wrinkle this up or tear it into a million pieces or throw it away. I'm actually going to save it because this part is the correct width to use later to make a ground. So I'm just going to set it to the side and save it. But here's my person running. He actually kind of leans forward like that when he runs. And now I'm ready to glue him onto my orange paper. But when I glue him on, I'm actually going to take him and glue him this way, because you can see that on this side there's lots of pencil lines, lots of erase marks. You can see where my stick figure was drawn. I don't want this side to be the front. This side's kind of the messy side. I'm going to make that side the side that goes away, that gets glued down. I'm going to make this side the side that you can see, because this side I think looks a lot nicer. Alright, so you can go ahead and glue this on with a glue stick. If you don't have a glue stick, what I have my kids do is take their glue bottle and do a thin glue line, kind of like that stick figure line that we drew inside of him, that kind of goes all the way around. And then they just take their finger and spread out that glue, and your goal is to get that glue spread out to be a nice, thin, even amount spread out as quickly as possible before the glue dries out to all of the edges. And then you pick it up, flip it over. I'm going to put this guy right in the middle, lay him down where he goes. Try to use some clean fingers, and you can just kind of gently press him down. And if you spread all that glue out evenly on the back, then you shouldn't really have much glue squirting out around the edges. And he should pretty much stick nice and flat, and you're probably not going to get too many glue wrinkles either, because you didn't have any big puddles of glue to make the paper too wet. So that's a good way to get your person glued down nice and flat when you're using liquid glue instead of a glue stick. Alright, so there's the basics for making one of these Keith Haring style figures. Alright, so now we're going to add some details to him to make him look even better. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give him a nice black bold outline. So to do your bold outline, you're going to use a regular black Sharpie. Now remember, you can't erase Sharpie, so once this is on here, it's permanent. So it's very important for this step you go slow. You're going to take your Sharpie and neatly just follow the edge of your person. Now your Sharpie should kind of fit down right up there against that edge of that paper, but you want to make sure that you don't have any of that background color showing up against your figure. So some of these spots you might need to go over a couple times and really outline neatly. So you can see how that black outline really makes your person stand out a little more. He looks a little bit more bold. One tip is you don't want to do this outline over any wet glue, so if you have any glue that is squirting out, You might want to pat it dry and make sure it's dry before you do your outline. But you can see how that outline really makes him stand out a lot better. So the next thing we're going to add to this figure is we're going to add some motion lines, some lines in the background to make him look like he's moving, to make him look like he's running. All right, so those lines kind of come off of the body, showing where the body was or where the body's traveled from in space. So for example, this arm would be moving forward, so I'd probably draw a few lines that make it look like that arm's moving forward. Same with this arm. Alright, now this leg's about to move forward, or it's in the process of moving forward, so I'm going to draw some lines coming off of it going this way. And same for this leg. This leg's kicking back, so I'm probably going to draw some action lines that come off of it like that. So these lines show the direction of the motion, and you can go ahead and trace those. You can trace them with a regular Sharpie or a thin Sharpie. It kind of depends if you want those lines to have the same thickness and the same weight as your outline or not. It's very important to make sure that these lines are going in the direction that shows how the body is moving through the air, which is why we draw them with a pencil first, to make sure that they make sense. All right, now if you miss your line at all, if you can see some of that pencil sticking through, make sure to erase it. So there is a Keith Haring style person in motion. Okay, so to add a ground, I have my person who I drew and cut out and is ready to get glued on. Then I have my background color. Now I also have this scrap piece that I used from making another person earlier, but I saved it because this width and this width are the same, so this will make a great ground to put my person on. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it upside down. This is going to be the bottom, so that's going to go at the bottom of the paper. I'm just going to draw a ground, and I'm just going to make it kind of organic, just a line. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. I don't need this piece of paper anymore. But this can get glued right there, and it's the right width. And this can now be my ground, and I made ground without needing a new piece of paper, which is awesome. So I can go ahead and add some glue to it. You can use a glue stick, or you can use your liquid glue. Go ahead and line it up with the bottom edge. Press it on. And you want to put your ground on your paper before you put your person on, because you don't quite know how your person's going to fit on your ground, where you're going to put him and stuff. So if this was glued on first, my ground might not quite reach the bottom of his feet. Now if your person's not standing on the ground, if you want to have a ground in your picture but you want your person, I don't know, floating in the air, doing a flip or a jump or something like that, then go ahead and glue your person on and glue your ground on second. But if your person's going to be on the ground, make sure to glue your ground on first. Then you're ready to glue your person on. There we go. Now the one other thing you want to remember is you're going to trace your person, but you also want to trace the top edge of your ground, because that gives this picture a really graphic feel, and it gives it more of that Keith Haring style with the outlines. There you go. Okay, so if you want to create a slightly more interesting but still abstract background, one design that I like to do is a repeating line background that mimics the shape of the body, because it still gives the feeling or the element of movement. And I usually do it just straight on with a Sharpie. However, if you mess up, then you've messed up your whole project and you'd have to start completely over. So if you're not confident with this design, you might either want to practice it on a piece of paper first, or start with a pencil and then go back and trace with a Sharpie. The way that the design works is you just start by outlining your person, just following around that person, staying the same distance all the way around, but never touching your person. Very similar to how we drew your person, how we took that guy and took him from a stick figure and made him into a 2D figure. So once you get back close to the beginning, you just reconnect. So you've got one outline going all the way around, and then you just start a new one. And this next outline just follows the first. And again, you want to try to keep them as uniform as possible, the same amount of distance from each other as possible. You're going to get some areas that start to get tighter, that eventually you won't be able to fit an outline into anymore. Maybe in an area like this, you can only go down that far. Maybe another shape shows up right there to fill in that area. And you just repeat this process basically till your paper's filled. You could even stop right here where you're getting kind of close to the edge. We've got a nice little blank border though. Or you can keep going until your paper is completely filled up. Now what's going to start to happen is you're going to start to get points right here where you can't keep going. So what you do is you draw the line as if it goes off the paper, and you pull it back around to come back on the paper where there's space. So it looks like that one continues and keeps going around the figure. You're going to get the same thing over here where it goes off the paper and reappears back over here where there's space again. Off and back on. And you just keep doing that until you have no negative space left. That's it. Alright, so if you are like me and made 2 or 3 or 4 of these, you might want to piece them together to make one large work of art. So to do that, you just turn them both over, lay them right next to each other. So if there's no space, you could even just slightly overlap them if you wanted to. Then I just take some of this tape, and that should hold them together to function as one piece of art.
Alright, that's it. Well, I hope you enjoyed making your Keith Haring style artwork today. I love this kind of art. I think that he's a really awesome artist, and I think that this is a really cool style of art. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.